Welcome to Codex, a history of video games. I'm Mike Coletta.
And I'm Tyler Osby.
And today we got ourselves a mailbag episode.
Yeah, let's read some emails. Some of them will be about history, some of them will be about contemporary gaming issues.
That's right, and I am excited. So the first one is from Xavier, and it says, with the announcement of the new 3D Kirby game, what do you think Nintendo will do with Kirby 30? Also, do you think they will update N64 Online? And funny fact, this email was sent on September 23rd, the exact same day that Nintendo released an announcement about N64 Online and how it will officially be a extra paid service, right?
Yeah, it's a extra thing to the normal Switch Online, which is like $20 a year, which is really not that bad.
No, really not that bad at all. And I also realize now, as a podcast, we've kind of neglected Kirby a little bit.
We have a little bit. I never grew up. I mean, I didn't play Kirby that much growing up. I don't have any special like nostalgia for Kirby games. I understand a lot of people do. I loved playing Kirby in early Smash Bros. Games, like everybody.
Too.
But I like it. He's not a character that pops up to me as like an iconic character from video game history. Not for me, at least. For a lot of people, I know he does, and so we probably should do that.
We should, and I think we will do that. But I do want to say my prediction for Kirby 30 is they're going to make some sort of game like Mario 99 or Tetris 99. I hope so.
I think part of the announcement, the same announcement with Nintendo 64 Switch, was a new 3D Kirby game. Let me Google that real quick.
Well, that's what they mentioned in the email. So, but
yeah, Kirby
30,
and the Forgotten Land. Ooh. It's like a 3D Kirby game. So there you go.
You know, great new games. But I do think for Kirby 30, I hope they would do something like they did with. I just loved Mario 99 so much. I was a huge fan
Mario
of it.
99 was cool.
And I kind of want them to explore that more in this like fast-paced battle royale, but it's with classic arcade games and it's chill. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the emails, Xavier. Also, I am stoked for N64 Online. I should mention that. I'm actually really excited about it, and I will pay the extra money because I still haven't gotten a RetroTink for my N64 system yet. It's bothering me. So I will do that instead.
There's a lot of bangers on N64 Online, too. I want to say they got Ocarina of Time, Amajora's Mask, Mario 64.
Dr. Mario 64, Yoshi's Story. They got Mario Kart, Star Fox 64.
Oh, yeah. Just really crushing it. Like, those are the games. And Winback. Operation Winback. Remember when you were talking about that game? Somebody's talking about that game.
Yeah, you know, I know. I need to play that game.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Sin and Punishment, too. That one never came out in America. I think you could get it on the Wii Virtual Console.
I think we're really talking about the sleeper hit, and that is that they're having retro Sega games on there, too. Mm-hmm. And that one of those is Echo the Dolphin. So just
all right.
Flying low, swimming low under the water radar is Echo the Dolphin.
Yep. And you will be able to get a Nintendo 64 controller for your Switch.
Which is really cool. Yeah. Definitely. They just really know how to get to all the nostalgia in me. But anyway, thank you for the email, Xavier. That's a very good one. That's a very good question. And we will try not to neglect Kirby in the future. Putting that on the list.
Yeah, that's good. Put it on the list.
Do you want to read this email from Eric from Ohio?
Yeah. Let me pull this out. The subject is Halo and other thoughts. Hello, Mike and Tyler. As always, still loving the podcast, book club, and all the nostalgia. I 100% agree with Tyler that Halo is one of the most important games of all time. It established a standard for FPS controls and is still one of the best examples of what a story-based shooter could be. I recall having a PS2 my parents bought me, but then I played Halo at a friend's house and immediately started saving up to buy an Xbox. Also, quick shout out to Jet Set Radio Future that came with the console. This was one of my favorite games for a long time. P.S. I've been replaying old GameCube games that I'm not, and this old GameCube game that I'm not sure most people know about called Chibirobo. It's this super weird, over-the-top game where you play as a tiny robot who has to go around picking up trash and generally cleaning up in its owner's home. The game revolves around you earning upgrades and finding tools to help you traverse new locations. So I was wondering, what is the most absurd game you've found that you really ended up liking? Keep up the fantastic work, Eric from Ohio.
Ooh, yes. That's a very good question. For absurd game. I think Untitled Goose Game for me really did it. Now that's kind of newer, but that was like absolutely absurd. The whole point of the game is you're a goose that's just a jerk. I love it.
Shoot. Man, I should have thought about this longer beforehand. I really love the Rez game. I love Rez, and Child of Eden was sort of a spiritual successor to it. There's like weird like music-based space shooter things that are like kind of Star Fox-like. They're super weird. They're not goofy in the same way that something like Chibi-Robo is goofy. But like Katamari Damacy is pretty goofy though.
Yeah, that was one I was thinking of too. I never actually played that though. I just watched people play it in college.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first one a lot on PS2. My brother played it forever. Like he probably beat the whole thing over and over. It was It like the music was weird. The whole premise is absurd. The graphics are like bright and colorful and fun. So I think that kind of falls. It's not as obscure as something like Chibirobo. I think most people know about Katamari Damacy, but it's pretty goofy.
I love Chibirobo, it sounds like, too, because it's one of those games that tricks you into doing chores.
Yeah.
You know? Like this is It's like kind of like Animal Crossing. You're like, wait, I just pulled a bunch of weeds. What am I doing in this video game?
Yep.
Love it. Well, thank you for the email, Eric. It's very good. And I'm also glad you agree with us about Halo, because we love Halo here.
Yeah, we sure do.
This next email is from... actually, there's no sign-off, so I don't know what they want to... I'm just going to say Siren. That's their first name. Hopefully that's all right. Video game culture from the Philippines to Electric Boogaloo. Ooh, look at this. Hi, Mike and Tyler. It's me, Siren from the Philippines. Oh, there's the name. Okay, I got it right. As well, and before I get into the main subject of the email, I just wanted to thank you guys for making my Mondays bearable. I haven't played games after the PS2 era for a very long time, and you guys talking about games that I played growing up reduced my FOMO a bit. Also, congrats for being able to bring in Stephen L. Kent. You guys really nailed it in that episode. And in the future, I hope you get to have another guest that is important to the gaming industry. Us, too. We really want that.
Yeah.
That said, I'll get into the topic. What John said previously about the video game culture here in the Philippines was true, but I just want to expand more about the subject. First, PC and mobile are the main gaming platforms here. I only know a few people who own PlayStation or Xbox consoles, and those are considered hardcore gaming fans like us, or part of the wealthy elite. Internet cafes are really popular, and before the dark COVID times, those were packed 24/7, with students playing online competitive games like Dota 2 and League of Legends. Some of them even skip their classes and use their school allowance to play for 12 hours.
Dang.
Fistfights tend to happen because flaming your teammates and your enemies is part of our video game culture, something that I'm not proud of. I suck at those games, which is why I stuck with my single-player games, so I just won't get bullied for being a total noob. Hey, I feel that so much, Siren. You have no idea. Anyway, mobile games are a hit here with Genshin, Mobile Legends, and Wild Rift. I'd say even bigger than PC games because a smartphone is a lot cheaper than a PC gaming rig or a PS5. If the average Filipino got a laptop and decided to put some games in it, they'll choose League, Valorant, or Minecraft to play. I guess that shows what we Filipinos love socializing with other people more. But if you're a guy like me, who is a big fan of gaming, chances are they'd be a Nintendo or a Sony kid. When I was in elementary and high school, the PSP and Game Boy Advance were super popular. My classmates back then loved to compete on Tekken 6 with one another. On the GBA, Pokemon was the most played game. The anime was also well-liked, and local TV networks aired Filipino dubbed episodes every morning. If you are well off, you watch the English dub on Cartoon Network through a cable network. To summarize it, Filipinos lean more to casual and competitive games. That's all, and I hope there'd be a mailbag episode where you guys read emails about gaming cultures from different countries. Thanks, and stay safe. P.S. What do you guys think about celebrities being casted as voice actors in video games? Wow, you just dropped a giant bomb question on us.
Yeah, wow.
I like it when it's got a purpose, is how I would describe it, because sometimes I feel like they throw big casted actors in there just to have them in there.
Yep.
Like we all thought Keanu Reeves was going to play a bigger role in Cyberpunk, and I think he doesn't, from what I understand. Granted, I've never played the game, but it's like I've heard he's not in there as much as you think so. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I mean, yeah. Do you have a comment on this?
I think I like it better when I know that the actor is super into games. This is as a person who identifies as a gamer. I like to see myself sort of represented in the casting of games, I guess. So when that person plays a lot of games, that means a lot to me. I don't know if I really have an opinion one way or the other. Like sometimes when I see a big name actor getting cast as something, I sort of roll my eyes a little bit and think, are they trying to like get a different audience with this? Or maybe, I mean, these people are celebrities because generally speaking, they're pretty good at their job. And so maybe they'll do a good job voice acting in a game too. I thought Elliot Page was really good in Beyond Two Souls, and Willem Dafoe too. Like that was pretty good. And I mean, you could have done it without those actors, I suppose, but I don't know. I think it was good. I guess I have no real opinion. It doesn't bother me one way or the other.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It really doesn't bother me. The only time I've seen one where I was like, this is clearly just trying to get more hype. And keep in mind, this was before everything went down with this person. But it was Kevin Spacey in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Oh, yeah.
That felt like they were just trying to throw a big name on it for the sake of like just having a big name on it, you know?
There must have been some like deal they had with him too, because he was in that Call of Duty game, but he also played a lot of Call of Duty on House of Cards. So I don't know if that was like a trade back and forth. I don't know what Kevin Spacey's gaming acumen is, if he cares about games or not, or if he just took the paycheck. But yeah, I agree. That was kind of that. It is a little weird, especially when their likeness is being used. Although Beyond Two Souls definitely used the likenesses of their celebrities. So
yeah,
sometimes it's a little jarring to see, or at least when they first started doing that, where they would have the likeness of the character in there too, it would be a little jarring to be like, oh, that's a real person that I'm seeing in video game form. It's less weird now that, of course, graphics have gotten a lot better, but also I've just seen it so many more times now that it's just less jarring, I guess.
Yeah, I do think the one that's doing it right now is Far Cry 6, because Giancarlo Esposito is such a good bad guy in Breaking Bad. And you're essentially like, hey, now you get to be Walter White against him, but in this different game, essentially. Like, it's making you feel that way, you know? So it's cool that way.
I also think games are getting a bit more of a like pedigree in terms of they can be a legitimate acting opportunity now. I think a lot of times in the past, you'd see a celebrity cast as a voice actor and they'd sort of phone it in because like it's a paycheck, it's a voice acting thing. Video games were not as like well respected as a storytelling medium, and the opportunities to really show out, to really do like a good acting job were smaller. But nowadays, with like Kevin Spacey's role, or with like you said, Giancarlo Esposito's role in Far Cry 6 and all of the like Quantic Dream games, you can be an actor and give a full performance in a video game now, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And probably makes it more attractive to like actors who are, you know, an actor's actor that went to acting school and whatever.
That was a good impression of an actor's actor. An actor's actor.
Yeah,
I still haven't played Cyberpunk. And I'm wondering if, because from what I understand, people are just like, he's not in it as much as you think, Keanu Reeves. He's like a side character. Yeah. But I don't know if that's necessarily bad, because otherwise it would be like, I'm playing the Keanu Reeves show. So,
yeah.
you know. I'll be curious to see when I finally actually get that game and play it. All right, the next one is from Chris in Orlando. You want to read this email?
Yeah, this is called A Novel Console, and that's what the name was sent to us. The subject is gaming in Puerto Rico. Hey guys, I wanted to weigh in on your topic about gaming in different countries outside the U.S. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, so it somewhat follows or followed the same trend as the U.S. does in gaming. Back in the early 2010s, I used to be part of a now defunct gaming news website. We covered news and events related to gaming on the island, as well as hosted midnight events for GameStop. We covered the release of Mortal Kombat 9, a ton of Call of Duty games, Battlefield, Resident Evil 6, a ton of NBA 2K games, and Dragon's Dogma. As you'd expect, first-person shooters and NBA games had the largest crowds, with many people coming to the events in search of exclusive console editions like the Gears of War and Halo-themed Xbox 360s. So it's pretty easy to say that the majority of casual gamers in Puerto Rico preferred those types of games over the more niche games like Dragon's Dogma, which is fantastic, by the way, to the point where a game like Modern Warfare 3 would be a console seller. I moved from Puerto Rico in 2015, and a year later, GameStop left the island because of high taxes that the government imposed on certain items. Currently, gamers have to buy their games at Walmart, which are usually $10 cheaper than anywhere else, Best Buy, or local mom-and-pop game stores, which usually have a bit higher prices than other stores due to shipping costs and limited availability. Amazon is not really a reliable option since they don't have warehouses in PR, and their shipping is very limited due to taxes. That's interesting. The closure of GameStop has been felt across the island by gamers to the point where some people have fallen off the hobby because either they don't know where to buy the games or the markup is higher than what they would feel comfortable paying for some games. On another note, I can't wait to hear what Mike thinks of Ghostbusters. I played the game last year on Halloween for my podcast, A Novel Console. Okay. Plug for the podcast. And I was so lost with the story that I had to pause the game to watch both movies before I could jump back in. It's effectively Ghostbusters 3, and it's a ton of fun. Sorry for the long email, and I can't wait to have you guys on my show to talk books and games. Well, maybe we'll come join you. So the email address it was sent from is the A Novel Console email. That's why I confused
And that's the
earlier.
podcast. You should listen to that podcast.
Yeah. We should check that out.
We're just out here plugging podcasts. We don't even care. We'll do it. It's a free show.
We'll do it. It's a free show. Plug your podcast. Let's go.
Also, I am super stoked to play Ghostbusters so much that I think I'm going to take a break from Zelda and switch to Ghostbusters and then go back to Zelda afterward.
Okay.
I kind of want a Zelda break, you know?
Yeah.
I'm having a fun time with the game, but I'm like, I want to break things up a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely that kind of guy that will play a game all the way through to beat it. When I'm realizing now, I'm like, you could just take breaks and play a bunch of games at a time, and that's way more fun. I think I'm going to try to do that more often.
And then you end up with a Trello board pile of shame.
That's right, and I already have one, so it's great. Okay. Thank you, Chris from Orlando. That's very nice. All right, this one's from Joe from San Diego. It's Super Mario Brothers. Hello. As you may have heard, Mario is getting a movie again, and the man himself is going to be played by the curiously cast Chris Pratt. So my question is this. If you could have any game become a movie or series, which would it be and how would you cast it? Conversely, if you could make any movie or series into a game, what would you choose? Thanks for making Mondays better. I'm really looking forward to the spooky episodes in October. Keep up the good work, Joe from San Diego. So we kind of talked about this a little bit in the last email, which to be fair, Joe sent this email before we actually did that one, so I totally get this. But I do want to say I've had some more thought into this whole like question about games as movies and movies as series and stuff. And would it be fun to do a kids movie that's like kooky and it's Crash Bandicoot?
Oh, definitely. That could be fun.
Like a kids movie Crash Bandicoot. I think that'd be really cool. I think that's something that kids could really get behind and like, you know, like little kids, like kind of cartoony, Looney Tunesy, you know?
Yeah. That's kind of what they tried to do with Ratchet and Clank, except that movie was bad. Although maybe if little kids watched it, they might have loved it. Maybe they just marketed it wrong.
That's right. That's what you got to be about the marketing. But a movie that would be into a game, I actually went and saw the new James Bond movie yesterday.
Was it good?
It's really good. I really liked it.
Yes,
but
really
why did they like? First, I had this like it's not a real like revelation. I'm sure someone else has had this idea before, obviously. But why did they stop? Well, they didn't stop. They tried to keep going after GoldenEye 64 to make James Bond movies. And the hard part is transferring the movie to a game. Because we all know GoldenEye 64 has like levels in it that were not in the movie that they kind of added in to kind of add some more context, which I loved. And I'm like, essentially, this new James Bond movie, all these Daniel Craig ones could be really good first-person shooters.
I just feel Quantum of Solace was one, and it was made by Treyarch, I think, or one of the Call of Duty devs.
Yeah.
And it ran on a Call of Duty engine. I think that was supposed to be
Was
decent.
it bad?
Yeah.
Is that the problem with it? Was it bad, do you think?
I think it was just decent. I don't know. Movie games, especially in 2008 or whenever that movie came out, like games based on movies were just universally disliked.
I just thought what I had was this alternate universe popped in my head where instead of Call of Duty, we just had a new Bond game every year that was really good and really good multiplayer based off of the original N64. But I was watching that movie yesterday, and I can't say anything about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but there are multiple scenes in that movie where I'm like, this would be a great video game level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought that the whole time I watched it.
Yeah, Bond is hard to translate to a video game, I think, because there's so many different aspects to it. Like, yeah, there's the action stuff, and that works pretty well for first-person shooter, but, like, lots of times Bond isn't out here, like, just gunning down bad guys, like, blasting through. Like, that happens, of course, but, like, he's sneaking around, or he's, like, schmoozing with people, and like that stuff is less.
Press X to schmooze.
Yeah. I mean, sneaking, like you could make a Bond stealth game, but I feel like if you tried to do all of the different things that Bond does in a typical movie, you have a game that feels very disconnected from each other. Like, oh, I really like the first-person shooter sections, but I didn't like the stealth sections. I think that's difficult to try to directly translate it. But like a Bond-themed first-person shooter obviously can work very well. Like GoldenEye is very fun because it's a fun shooter game, and then like the Bond sort of theme to it is like kind of icing on the cake. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I would say I kind of want them to try to make a Bond game again. Give it another go.
Yeah.
That's what I really want.
What was the last Bond game? It's like Rogue Agent or something, probably?
Yeah, it was when they were doing stuff that was like non-Bond stories, which I kind of liked that idea of, but it just didn't translate well. I think it just needs to be like, take your time, you know?
Yeah, 007 Legends is the last one.
That was
in 2012.
We talked about this in an episode that I did, and it's embarrassing. I don't remember that. But you know what?
We've done
a lot of things. Yeah. But yeah, do you have any other movies that you'd want to see a game out of, Tyler?
Movies that I'd want to see a game out of. No, I don't think so. I can definitely think of game stories I'd like to see movies made out of. Like I'm pretty excited for the HBO Last of Us.
What about Secession, the game, and it's just like dialogue tree after dialogue tree?
You know what? I would play that. Like there are games
like a Telltale style game.
Yeah, Telltale game, or like what's the company that makes the Life is Strange games, Deck Nine, and there's one other company that makes them. Like that could probably work for a Succession game.
All right, it's a funny rom-com from our childhood, and it's just a dating sim.
It's You've Got Mail. It's like Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks dating simulator.
Yeah, exactly. The ultimate Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks dating simulator. Cool. Thank you, Joe. That's a great email, and that's some good questions. And I have no idea what to think about the Mario movie. I am hoping it turns out. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic, but it's very hard with the casting choices. Is how I feel.
We'll see. Also,
I try not another movie. It didn't need another movie. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, I fully agree. A Mario movie feels like a cash-in because Mario is not the kind of like I'm not like tell me a great Mario story in movie form. I don't think it needs it.
Well, it all started in the Donut Land.
Yeah. But I do have to say, like, I try not to be critical of casting choices because obviously there are people that are professionals at casting things and they're generally, I'm not saying that they're 100% hits all the time, but like generally they're in that job because they're good at it. And remember when Heath Ledger got cast as the Joker in 2008's The Dark Knight, and everybody was like, Heath Ledger, he'll be terrible. And then it was like the best acting performance anybody had ever seen of all time. Remember that?
I remember that.
So I don't question acting. I don't question casting choices before the movie's out. Once the movie's out and you've seen it, you can be like, that was a bad casting choice for sure. But I try not to do that before the movie's out.
Nice. It's very diplomatic of you, Tyler. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. The next game. The next two emails are from Ryan. From Old Man Ryan. Somewhat is what he says now.
Oh, okay. This one, the subject is GTA. Ryan says, "What's up, my dudes? Was awesome to hear about the episodes. It's here the episodes make it up to Generation 6 of console games. I have a lot of nostalgia for this generation since that's when I worked in EB Games as a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hearing the GTA stuff had me reflect on my personal interactions with the game. I had a couple of great ones I had forgotten about until I reflected on it, so I'll tell you all my stuff. I remember not paying attention in class and reading about the previews for GTA 3 in Game Informer, and it being a snowy day, looking out the window in 6th period and seeing my buddy Kenny drive by pretty fast and watch him in slow motion crash into the back of a stopped bus at a 4-way stop. Like, what?
That's fantastic.
Hope he's
That's
okay.
a fantastic memory.
Holy moly. My other big memory besides the one mission, the Jamaicans saying, here, you'll need a piece as they hand you a Mac 10. I remember finishing the storyline of the game while laying in the hospital after my appendix burst and my mom brought me my PS2 to play.
That's a good mom right there.
That is a good mom.
Also, you had something happen to you that I was terrified about as a kid. I was always worried my appendix was going to burst. You know? Yeah. It's like a useless organ, but it's so scary. Also, you have... Here, you'll need a piece, and they hand you a Mac 10. Lance in GTA Vice City says, you gotta always be packing some heat in this town, is what his line is, and I remember that line. It's like, for some reason, the moment they give you a gun in these games, I remember the line. I don't know why.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay, can't wait to hear more of you guys' heavenly voices talk of the best hobby there is. Thanks, dudes. Is that like, remember in Halo 2 when he says, I need a weapon?
Oh yeah,
is that a similar lines. Like the getting the
moment
getting
you
the
need
weapon?
A gun. And in Halo 1, he's like, I don't keep it loaded, son, but I'm sure you'll find something out there. And he gives you a pistol.
Oh yeah, that's got no ammo in it.
Yeah, he gives you a pistol with no ammo in it in the middle of an alien boarding attack of your spaceship.
Yeah, well, hey, he doesn't keep it loaded. That's good gun safety, probably. Except maybe gun safety's different in the military.
I like to think it's different. Like you put the safety on, and you're ready for alien attacks at all times. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But who knows? I'm not an alien ship captain. Alien?
Admiral General Keyes, whatever. He is. Captain Keyes is. He's probably not out there shooting guns all the time, I suppose.
No, but you know what happens if you keep your pistol unloaded? You become a member of the Flood. We all know that.
It's true.
That's
what happens. Spoilers.
Ryan has a second part. Do you just want to read a second part?
Yeah, I'll read the second part. GTA 3 Part 2. I forgot to put my question in the last email. ... Old man brain. Are you guys excited for the remaster of GTA 3 Vice City and San Andreas that was rumored / sort of confirmed coming out? Sent from my iJaybird. He said his sign off is different every time, and it's always Jaybird related. It's very funny.
I love it. I'm excited.
Yeah, these are confirmed now. By the way, this is an old email that's almost 2 weeks old, but the remasters are confirmed. They don't really have a lot of detail about them, other than that they're coming to consoles, Switch, and iOS. They say they're upgrading the graphics and changing some of the gameplay stuff to feel more modern. We don't really know what that means though, but I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, I am too, especially Vice City. Like that's my favorite one. I know it's not the best one. To a lot of people, to some people, it's their worst. I think because it's just
I
smaller.
love Vice City. I love
But
the
Vice
aesthetic
City's-
of Vice City.
That's me. I just love that 80s.
Yep.
Like you feel like you're in the 80s, even if it's not really what it is. It just feels like it to me as a kid. You know, it's my impression of what the 1980s were, and
Well, it's a parody, right?
I love it.
So,
It's like it makes me feel like I'm in Miami Vice.
Yeah, it's super
Or
good.
if you were in the 90s, Nash Bridges, also Don Johnson.
Do you remember what the line is in San Andreas when they give you a weapon?
Oh no,
Me neither. I was just seeing it. I just was wondering if you knew it.
no, it bothers me. Though.
I haven't
It's
really
gonna
spent that
bother
much
me.
time in San Andreas, to be honest. I played
I
a lot of GTA 3, Vice City 4 and 5,
Yeah.
but not really a lot of San Andreas.
I think I've beaten Vice City twice. I've played GTA 3 a lot, but only beat it once. And then San Andreas, I just sped through it pretty quickly. But I did like the gang war games thing in San Andreas in the end.
Yeah.
The gang territory fights. It kind of gave you like a little end game, you know, where you could take over the whole city. Thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I think Vice City Stories has that on the PSP/PS2. They have that sort of gang thing, so you could do it in Vice City.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories, highly underrated.
Yeah, and you said there's the is it the Ballad of Gay Tony is a really good one too.
Yeah, that's one of the DLCs for GTA 4. That's one of my favorite GTA stories. I
And
just
see,
really love that
GTA
one.
4 never beat. Played it
Me
for
neither.
like
It's so
5
hard.
hours and then hit the dating parts and I was like, this really isn't for me, I think. Like, I just wasn't in the mood for it.
It has a really
And,
good story, I think,
I've
but
heard that.
it's really difficult.
But that's not being remade, is it?
No.
No. So it's like, interesting. Well, I might, you know, when I clear my backlog, so never, I'll play that game.
Yeah. Well, if you have if you play it on Xbox One, it's like runs at a higher frame rate, and for like 4K and all that good stuff. So it's like better if you play it on Xbox One.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, wait, here we have a very long email from Spidey Librarian. Are you ready for it?
Oh boy, let's go.
Spider-Man Unlimited is the name of this email, and it says, "Hi, Mike and Tyler. This is probably going to be a long one. Web yourself in." Oh, here we go. It's all the way with the spider puns. It's been a while since I last wrote. I'm the guy who asked for the hyphen whenever you use Spider-Man in any of your podcast titles, which, hey, thanks for doing that. But there has been reasons for this. First off, I finally worked my way through the entirety of your podcast episodes and thoroughly enjoyed all of them, even the ones about games or parts of video game history I didn't care for. I found your podcast by looking for a podcast on video game history, and needless to say, you guys delivered. I can honestly say yours is the only podcast on this topic, and any other for now at least, and I've listened to all of it. And in comparison to other podcasts on video game history, it is leaps and bounds the best. I don't think Spotify has a rating system, but you can count on me as one of your followers on that platform. Needless to say, I look forward to Mondays. Thank you. Second, I've been working on creating content for my YouTube channel, which is small and at this point barely worth mentioning. Aside from the fact that it is a lot of work that I do in my spare time, I enjoy it and hope to learn more and grow. But there are so many facets of doing YouTube and creating content in a way that appeals to people, and it's taken up a lot of my energy and attention. I imagine it's a lot like making a podcast. And then he does a laughy face. I was excited to see that you guys have a YouTube channel and have subscribed, even though I mostly listen to your show through Spotify. Thank you. I'm glad people did that because I made the YouTube thing on it. It's a thing you can do on Spotify, on our host service, Libsyn, and I'm happy that someone's using it, or at least listening to it. But anyway, here we go. I'm a big fan of your work you guys do and have been wanting to communicate more with you on a regular basis. Hopefully this will be the first of some regular letter writing. Ooh, you can feel free to read on your
Pen
show,
pals.
or not. I realize I can carry on a bit. On the main topic of this email, Spider-Man Unlimited. I don't think you guys covered this game on your show, and as it's another personal favorite, I couldn't stand to let it go unlisted. I wanted to talk about a little bit about Spider-Man Unlimited. Was an endless runner that ran from 2014 to March 2019. I first played it so I could write a review for a Spider-Man website and got hooked almost immediately. I'm generally not a fan of endless runners, so that's saying something. And I'm pretty sure, Tyler, could you look this up? Is this a mobile game?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, this is interesting. So, again, we really need to talk more about mobile games on this podcast, but we've been neglecting them a little bit. So, Unlimited placed you directly behind Spider-Man, or others, more on that later. So you guide him as he ran, swung, free-falled, and generally parkoured his way through the city in pursuit of his enemies, power-ups, and various goals. The art was hand-drawn and looked like it came right out of a comic book. That's really cool. And featured a multi-dimensional Sinister Six trying to take over Spidey's dimension, which of course he enlists Spidey's and characters from other dimensions to aid him in combating them. Is this Into the Spider-Verse before Into the Spider-Verse? That's what it
Might
sounds
be.
like. There were different Spider-Man skins and eventually other characters, along with a leveling and ranking system that, while not flawless, was pretty decent overall. The list of characters you could play eventually grew to the point that it was almost impossible to keep track on how many there were. I don't have a firm number, but it wouldn't surprise me if the final number of the possible playable Spideys and other characters reached over 500. Wow.
Dang.
One of the best things about this game was that it was designed around quick, brief gameplay. You could do a quick run while waiting in line, put it away afterwards, and come back later with no real penalty. It's a formula I wish was more popular among many of the more popular mobile games, which I feel I can be pretty harsh if you miss, quote, too much of the time or even a brief time. I completely agree with you on this point. And it's the reason I don't play mobile games that often, is I hate when a game tries to give me FOMO. Yeah. I'm like, this is infuriating to me. I will not play this game. Don't try to guilt me into playing it. I don't need that. All right. Unlimited was also pretty good at not milking players' wallets. While you could spend money on the premium currency to progress faster, of course, you didn't have to do it very often. And so do it so very often and could often get plenty of it by playing the game and accomplishing goals and objectives. I really appreciated this, and it actually made me more likely to just occasionally make a purchase as I wanted to support games like this. Alas, I suppose this could have killed the game off, maybe. The license expired and they weren't allowed to renew. No reason was really given. Gameloft simply announced in December 2018 that the game would be taken offline in March 2019. I was devastated and still miss the game to this day. In fact, I still have the launch icon in my games folder on my phone. I intend to keep it as long as I can.
I do that with games that I love that got taken off the App Store for one reason or another. I'm like, oh, I just keep it.
Because you got to remember it, you know?
Yeah.
As I'm sure you can
in the chat.
see... Oh, yeah. I could go on about this for a while. In any case, I'd like to again compliment you on the awesome job you've been doing with podcasts and let you know that I'm a big fan of what you do. If you guys would be up for it, I'd love to do an interview sometime for my channel. I don't have many subscribers at present, but I'd love to do what I can to boost the profile of your podcast. Hope all is well for both of you. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll continue to look forward to each episode of your podcast. Best, Spidey Librarian. Well, that was a long email, but it was kind of a mini episode, which is cool. You know? That's fun. I like this.
Spider-Man Unlimited there.
Yeah, I didn't even know about this game. I do remember playing Temple Run. That was the endless runner I played. But again, like I said before, I hate the FOMO thing. Yeah. Of like, you got to do a daily check-in. I'm like, I don't need to check in with you. You're a video game.
You want to play some Destiny after this?
Yeah. But it's different because it's on my computer.
Okay.
You like that?
Yeah.
That's really funny because yesterday I was like, oh no, it's the legendary Lost Sector is what I need right now, so I gotta log in and do it. I need to get the exotic
did you
legs.
Fear you would miss out?
I did. I had a fear of missing out. Even though what's funny is I was doing it and I was like, this will just roll around next week and I can just do it next week. It's not a big deal. But I don't know why it does. There is this thing where it's like, maybe it's because I associate my phone with work is why I don't like to play games on my phone. I was thinking about this when I watched a commercial because they have this new phone where you can flip open the screen and it like doubles the size of the screen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why don't I play more games on my phone? And I'm like, I think it's because I associate it with like email and phone calls and texts and like people asking me to do things. You know?
Okay. And I don't want a separate device that takes you away from that. I
think so. But then again, I check emails all the time on my computer, so I really don't know. I have no idea why I can't play phone games. I need to work on that as a person.
I know. I want to play more phone games too. The phones are so powerful now. Like a phone, any phone that you can buy new these days, more powerful than a Switch. Like, creeping up into like Xbox One territory if you're getting like a newer iPhone or something like that. Like they have really good hardware and I want to see more games take advantage of that. And then I sit here and talk about how much I want mobile games to be great and then I just don't play any of them because I sit and play my PC. But just
sitting here playing PC games with Tyler. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because the social aspect on phone games isn't as good. That could be a reason why.
That could be, yeah. And actually, I think that's why it resonates so much with kids, because the social aspect is there. If you're hanging out with your buddies waiting around for the bus and you want to get a game of Pokemon Unite in, everybody has a phone. We can all play we could group up and play a game of Pokemon Unite together. And we don't need link cables like we would have needed as kids, right? You don't need any of that. Everybody has a phone. We just sit there and play together, or Fortnite, or any of the number of mobile games that you play online that you can group up with other people. We just, like, as adults, we're like, well, when I want to play games, I don't really want to go anywhere to do it, and I don't find myself like hanging out with people often. Maybe I'm just not a social person. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that too. You're talking and I'm like, oh no, am I not social? Yeah, I do agree with you. Like a lot of phone games, people play them, get it. Like I work at a high school during the day, full disclosure, and I've been watching kids play games on their Chromebooks. They're not supposed to, but they do anyway. And I'm like watching them play these games, and they're all like mobile games, but on a Chromebook essentially. And I'm like, you know what? This is how they socialize. Like it's
This
fun.
is it, yeah.
I never get mad at them for it. I'm really terrible at this. I should get more mad at them. But I'm like, one, they found a way around the firewall, so congrats, cool kid stuff. But two, like this is how you socialize with your friends. If you're done with your work, go for it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Well, hey, who among us, right? Did you? Can you count yourself as a person who did not play games on the computers in the computer lab when you weren't supposed to?
I played on my graphing calculator. I got the TI-84.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We talked about this before, but we could do a whole episode on graphing calculator games because I love them. Okay.
Yep.
Or playing games on devices you're not supposed to play them on. Burger Champ's got an email. You want to read this next one?
Yeah, Burger Champ says, "Hello, boys. Burger Champ here. After finally finding a judge that will accept kettle corn as a bribe, the charges have been dropped, and I'm no longer on the lam. My first order of business in my new life as a free man was to log on and ask you this. What are your favorite side games or mini games in gaming, be it a card game, pub game, arcade cabinet, real or fake, imaginary sport, or substandard rhythm game? What optional outings distract you from your main quest the most? I'm off to play a game of pick-up blitzball. Burger Champ."
Ooh, I really tried to get into Pazak and KOTOR.
Yeah.
I tried to get good at it, which is funny because this was 10 years ago. And if you showed me the game, I would not know what to do. Currently, it's all gone from my memory. But I read guides and I tried to play Pazak in that and get good at it. I do like it when games have little mini games. Playing poker in Red Dead.
Red Dead, yeah.
Big fan of that. It makes you feel like even more of a cowboy.
Yep.
There is a arcade cabinet in is it Doom 3? Doom Eternal? In one of the Doom games, there's an arcade cabinet you can play with... oh my gosh, what am I thinking of? I think I'm confusing games here. Don't listen to me. Wow, it must have not really been memorable if I can't remember it. That's crazy. There was an achievement for it, though, where you had to get a high score on it. And I did that. And I'm like, this game's not bad. Which is funny because this game would have been a game on a very old system. And now it's just inside this game.
It's just a side game that somebody would have paid a full price for back in the day.
Yeah. I played a lot of Yahoo Pool in high school also. So that's kind of a side game that you play on your computer when you're killing time. Space Cadet Pinball. What about you, Tyler?
For mini games and gaming, I like Triple Triad, the game in Final Fantasy VIII. It helped that when you did that, you got cards that you could sort of disenchant to get you really good spells in that game to make the main game a little bit easier. So I got pretty good at Triple Triad, getting those things. I like you said, poker in Red Dead was pretty good. And I don't like Blitzball. I just can't figure it out. It moves too slowly, and it's too stats based, but in a really non-intuitive way. I'm sure if you can see through the matrix and make the numbers make sense, that Blitzball is probably actually really fun. But I didn't
What's
find
Blitzball in again? Why can't I not remember this?
It's in Final Fantasy X. It's like the underground or underwater.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like underwater football, basically.
I watched my buddy play this, and I was very confused, but it looks kind of cool.
Yeah. It's very stats based. It looks like it's an action thing, but it's actually super stat heavy. And to really get good at it, you have to level your guys up and play a lot of lose a lot of games to get the XP, or maybe you don't have to lose those games, but I had to lose those games.
I don't know if this counts, but in Mass Effect Andromeda, you can send strike teams out while you go out on missions to do side things and check in on them. It's kind of like a side activity, and it is stats based. It's kind of your gambling essentially.
Yeah.
You're sending out a strike team. I don't think I ever successfully had a mission. I think I would always lose the strike team because I'm just hey, go for it, see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, the one that I got really into was, and I think a lot of people, this actually is a pretty good piece of gaming history, I guess, that Mario Party had those, just the mini game stuff. The very first Mario Party had a bunch of mini game stuff that you could sort of play separately from the main game. One of them was the Wind Up Shy Guy. Are you familiar with the Wind Up Shy Guy?
I am not.
Okay, so the Wind Up Shy Guy was you would press A to start, and you would rotate the stick as fast as you could for 10 seconds or something, and then the Shy Guy would sort of fly around the room, and you got stuff for how far it got. The problem was rotating the stick with just your thumb is very difficult. So people did is they used the palm of their hand, and you could go much faster if you use the palm of your hand. Now, maybe you can take a guess at what happens there, but you end up getting really bad blisters on your hand from doing this and competing with your friends. At least this is what happened to me. And I think it happened to a lot of other people because there was an issue of Nintendo Power where they were sending out free gloves to people.
What?
Because they must have got sued or something, but people were getting blisters on their palms and they were sending out free gloves if you could like prove you owned a copy of Mario Party or something for that. And you'll notice that after the first Mario Party, there were a lot of mini games in the first Mario Party that were about rotating the stick fast. Those don't exist anymore after the first Mario Party. It's all like they've sort of changed them into like mash the A button as fast as possible, stuff like that.
Shake the soda.
Yeah, shake the soda. But yeah, so like, but me and my friends, we were like 10 years old, got super into this this Shy Guy rotation mini game. I don't even remember what you unlocked, but it must have been really good stuff because it wasn't particularly fun. Or maybe we made it fun by competing with each other. We all got blisters, and we didn't get any of the gloves because we couldn't prove we owned a copy of Mario Party for one reason or another, I think. Or maybe we were over it by the time they were sending those gloves out. But I just remember that being like, oh yeah, I guess a lot of people hurt themselves playing this game.
That's a really cool little history diatribe we went on because of Burger Champ's email. That's great. Mm-hmm. Man, I want to find more. We should make it an episode about weird, like, damage control moments the gaming companies did. Because that's what that is, right? It's full-on damage control. Like, we'll send gloves to you.
Yeah,
so,
it was cheaper to send gloves to anybody who wanted one than it was to like settle a lawsuit, probably. Or maybe that was the settlement in the lawsuit of like, okay, fine, we'll give you a glove. Because like nobody got truly hurt by it, but like we got blisters and like some people probably drew blood, right?
Yeah, that counts. I mean, if a blister gets infected too, who knows what could happen? So it's definitely a thing, you know. And if their kids are doing it, they don't take care of themselves. They're children. Everyone knows that.
And joysticks are gross anyway because everybody's grubby little kid hands are touching them, so it could get infected. Yeah, I mean, like there's it could have gone poorly, I suppose. It didn't for us, but could have.
Grubby little kid hands getting blisters because of Shy Guys. Classic. That's great. Thank you for the email, Burger Champ, and we're glad you're out of there. Good job.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This next email is from Tyler. Not you, Tyler. Different Tyler. This is Tyler in Colorado. All right. Hey, guys. Tyler again. It's called Gamestop. We're talking about Gamestop finally. I'm so excited. I was just responding to your GameStop conversation. A little background. I grew up in a small town in Colorado, about 10,000 population. I went to college in Nebraska and worked at GameStop in both places. The common theme I noticed with them is they seem to struggle more in cities, but did really well in rural areas. We were very good at beating sales goals at rural GameStop. I honestly think it comes down to more competition in cities, of course, and community relationship. In my hometown, your choices were GameStop, Walmart, drive 2 hours to Denver. Also, from being a lifelong customer as well as working there, I seem to have good relationships and friends with the employees/customers in the smaller town GameStop. Less customers, more regulars. However, I know there's more money in a larger market, but the stores they close always come from the larger city markets. I don't know if that's a conversation they've had at a higher position, but there is a very big difference between rural and city GameStop. I'm guilty too, since I live in Fort Collins, Colorado now. I just go to Target. And he has that meme with the person like holding their hands up like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Interesting to me too, because this reminds me the last blockbusters are in relatively smaller towns. Like Bend, Oregon is not a big town.
Yeah. And there's kind of a community aspect of like going and renting the movie or going and buying the game, I suppose. Like it's sort of almost a meeting place. And I don't know when Tyler went to college, but depending on how big digital downloads were for games, like I think we can all agree that GameStop has been somewhat affected by being able to easily buy games and just download them. But in rural areas where the internet might not be so great, like I don't want to buy like Grand Theft Auto 5 and download a 100 gig game on my 10 megabit connection that's going to take like 24 hours when I could just walk to the store and buy it,
Exactly. And also the other smaller towns that blockbusters were last in was Fairbanks, Alaska and like Juneau, Alaska. Essentially like those small, tiny, like cities, but tinier. So I think you're onto something here, Tyler, from Fort Collins. I think you got something going here. This is a good theory.
Yeah, I agree.
But thank you for the GameStop conversation. That's good. That's good stuff. Do you want to read Mo's email?
Yeah. Mo talks about the bittersweet death of LAN parties.
Oh.
Hey dudes, it's Mo. It was fascinating hearing about how the Xbox caught the big wave of online gaming just as high-speed internet started ramping up. The rise of the worldwide sofa was a welcome one for sure. Online gaming is awesome, and it brings people from across the world together in a way like never before. Some of us on the Discord just grouped up for some Splitgate the other day. Shout out to our Discord. However, I also had the bittersweet realization that the rise of online gaming has also led to the death of LAN parties, or at least LAN parties are not nearly as common anymore. Some of my favorite memories from the early 2000s were the huge LAN parties my friends and I would throw together. A few times a year, a bunch of us would cram into someone's basement with 4 big CRT TVs, 4 linked Xboxes, 4 copies of Halo 1, and enough Mountain Dew to fill a bathtub. We would play 8 versus 8 Slayer and capture the flag until the sun came up. There was so much trash talk and complaints about screen peeking and inferior controllers. Looking at you, the Duke, but we had so much fun.
Oh, screen peeking. Oh,
yeah.
Stop looking at my screen.
Screen peeking. It's legitimate. No, I can't not look.
Were you pro or anti-screen peeking?
Anti-screen peeking.
Me
I'm
too.
generally not a fan. But like, also, how do you enforce that? You really can't. You know,
you take a piece of cardboard, you put it across your TV. Lengthwise,
well, unless you're doing something like that, you kind of have to sort of devise strategies around screen peeking, which makes the game just a different game, you know, unless you think you can count on everybody to just use the honor system. But if it starts getting competitive, everybody's going to use what's available to them, you know?
I want to thank Mo for reminding me of the phrase screen peeking, because it's been a very long time since I've heard that. So thank you, Mo.
Yeah. Mo's email continues, there's something special about playing games with friends in the same room together, and I don't mean the smell. Online gaming is amazing, of course, and voice chat makes it a lot more social and personal, but sometimes I still miss the epic LAN parties that just don't seem to happen as much anymore. Some game developers don't include split screen or couch co-op functionality anymore. Alas, life moves on. Anyway, a question for you. On the Discord, actually, let's talk about this before we get to this question, because it's a separate question. So let's talk about LAN parties first. I used to do LAN parties at my high school. We do like 2 or 3 of them a year probably, and everybody would show up and they'd bring this was in the days of the CRT, so we would bring our TVs or we would bring our monitors and desktop towers, and like we probably had 50 people that showed up to these.
That's so
we
cool.
had a lot of fun.
I wish my high school did that. We didn't do anything like that.
Yeah, it was, doing it with the school was great because it gave us a big space. There were a lot of like limitations on what games we could play or what we were allowed to play, and we couldn't actually have internet. They wouldn't let us, they would let us use the school, like setup to link to LAN together. And we could even play games on the school computers if we had games that would run on them. Like the original Call of Duty ran okay on those. And so people could come and play Call of Duty on like a school computer. And, but they wouldn't let us have the internet. So we had to, like, there was a whole process of us unhooking the internet in like the networking closet, so that we could have a network but no internet, which wouldn't work today because everything requires online, even if you're on a LAN. Like you can't function without internet anymore. And then we re-imaged the computers in the computer lab with a special gaming image that had a few games on it, Call of Duty, like the Halo demo stuff that had been approved for us to play. And then when we were done, we had to like hook everything back up to the internet and then like image the computers back to like their normal like day to day without any games on them. We actually learned a lot about IT stuff. Now that I think about it, like that really taught us a lot. Anyway, we had a lot of fun.
I was just thinking that I'm like, that's something that you could never get away with in high school today, because everything IT is controlled from like the main admin building usually for a school district, you know, and it's all taken out of the schools themselves. So that's really cool. You got that experience to have that.
Yeah. We learned a lot doing that. And then, of course, running our own servers, we had a server computer that I don't know was donated to us or that we had managed to like secure for like an old server or something. We had this really giant Dell that ran Windows Server 2003. And we would run a Call of Duty server. We ran Quake servers. We ran like whatever we could get running on there, so that we had a lot of fun. It was super cool. And then, of course, we had the Halo. We had like Xboxes hooked up together playing Halo and all that good stuff too.
Man, Tri-Cities, Washington. I grew up there in 2000s. You could play games with Tyler.
You could have played games with me. Yep.
So nice.
And in fact, Matt in Japan did. He went to those LAN parties, I think.
Nice,
I'm
Matt.
sure he did.
That's great. You want to? I don't have a lot of LAN party experience as a kid, which is a bummer.
Oh.
The most we did was 2 Xboxes linked together. That's the most I'd ever had. It makes me sad because I never had that.
Yeah.
And then the closest I had, I think, was on my dorm room floor freshman year of college. We got everyone to play Counter-Strike Source at the same time, like every room. So we would like kill someone and you run out and sprint down the hallway and be like, ha, and then run back to your room. And like, that was like the fun part I had. And it was kind of cool because it brought like all these, like we were all strangers like on the floor. and it brought us all together playing these gun games in Counter-Strike Source. That's what we played.
Yeah.
And it was super fun.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that's good. But
I think the death of LAN parties, like it's like a double-edged sword because social things are so much easier now. Like we can play games online almost every night with each other, and we play like League of Legends or Destiny or whatever we're playing, and we sort of get like half of that LAN party experience of like hanging out with your friends and playing games together. Back in the day, it was so much harder to play online together in a way that you could like talk to each other, and that was like actually a fun. Like playing online was sort of like not as good back then, so or non-existent depending on when you're talking. Like if you're talking about the 90s LAN parties, like playing online really wasn't a thing. That was the only way to play with your friends, and so it was like really we all would look forward to it, plan for it, put it all together because otherwise we weren't playing together. And nowadays you can play together every night, so like the like getting together and doing a LAN party like doesn't have as much power because that large social aspect is replicated online. A few years ago, though, I did get together with a bunch of friends at someone's house, and we played Final Fantasy XIV together, and we did like a really hard boss fight together in the same room, LAN party style, and that was a lot of fun. And I wish we would do more in-person LAN parties. But
yeah, I agree.
I get why we don't. And also, we're adults now. Like, planning is harder. I don't want to carry a computer around to someone's house when it's just as easy to play online. You know, it hasn't always been that way. It was much easier to carry your computer to a friend's house than it was to play a game that doesn't go online together, you know?
Yeah, man, it makes me sad that the LAN party is just gone, but makes sense, you know.
You can still get together with your friends. You can still get together with your friends in the same room. It just doesn't have as much going for it anymore.
If anything, now it's probably easier because you could just get together in the same room and do a custom match online together. Hang out in the room together, get the same experience without all the setting up the network.
Yeah, and also I do think a lot of us that loved LAN parties back in the day are grown up now, and it's just harder to get together and do stuff. Like I can't take 2 hours to drive somewhere to set my stuff up. Like I just don't have the time, you know, the way that I might have in middle school or high school. Definitely.
Well, there's another part of the email. You want to keep reading it? Here we go.
Oh my gosh, yes. Anyway, a question for you. On the Discord, we've chatted a bit about Pokemon Snap and whether or not the game would be fun if the Pokemon IP were stripped from the game. Would you play a game like Pokemon Snap if you were just taking pictures of regular animals? Can you think of another franchise or IP that would work with a photo safari style game? Spider Butts, Mo.
Jurassic Park. Boom.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Instantly comes to mind.
My answer to this is I don't play Pokemon Snap, even with Pokemon in it. So that it not having Pokemon in it would make me even less likely to play it.
I didn't buy the new Pokemon Snap. I didn't get it
yet. Me neither.
Because I loved the 64 version. I loved that game. I loved it so much. But I hadn't got Pokemon Snap yet because I'm worried that I won't like it. I'm afraid that and it will tarnish my memories because I don't know if the photo game is for me. I do think the possibility of doing a photo safari game like in the ocean would be really cool.
Yeah.
Like an underwater photo safari style game. And I think there are photo games already for like a safari. I could be wrong,
probably.
But I'm pretty sure that's maybe it's my brain being like, it has to be a thing because it's, you know, but But I do think Pokemon really do make it great. So I don't know. I think it could work, but I don't know if it would be as popular because Pokemon Snap is adorable. Throw a Clefairy a berry. Why not? You know?
I played a lot of the first Pokemon Snap because it was the first Pokemon game on N64 and I really wanted to see Pokemon in like 3D. That was the thing. And I knew Pokemon Stadium was coming, but it was farther away. So I got Pokemon Snap. And I had a lot of fun with it, but I don't think it was from the picture taking aspect. I think it was just the novelty of seeing Pokemon on a TV in 3D that really did it for me. And now I can get that in a myriad of different ways. So I don't need, like, Pokemon Snap doesn't have any special gameplay enhancements to me.
Yeah, definitely. I get it. Well, do you want to talk this next email? Then I'm going to read it. And you have to be quiet while I read it, and I'll let you speak at the end. Because this is from Alexa. Okay. And it's about skill-based matchmaking.
Oh, I got so many thoughts on skill-based matchmaking.
I know. I'm like, I gotta read it, and I gotta give you some time. Alexa says, "Hey guys, I wanted to share my opinion on skill-based matchmaking, also known as SBMM. I think it's implemented terribly in most games. The way they do it is not by overall statistics, but by performance match by match. This means that if you have a really good match one day, better than they usually do, then the next game they put you into will be folks that are a more consistent, higher skill level than you are. This usually results in you getting absolutely demolished by the rest of the game and feel discouraged about playing again. Since this is game you played bad in, the next game you're put into will be consistently low skill opponents, which you do really well in, and the cycle repeats. Another issue is that I just don't like playing games where it's always equal all the time. Not only does that lend itself to tedium, but it also can be a lot more stressful because you have to play at your consistently high level in order to have a chance. Games turn into a sweat fest, essentially, which is where the term sweaty comes from. And at that point, not only am I not really having fun, but I'm going to play less games because of the high stress involved will burn me out quicker. Older Call of Duties also used a form of skill-based matchmaking, but it wasn't nearly as aggressive as it was when they released Modern Warfare 2019 and beyond. In the older games, I'd play pretty well consistently without having to stress a lot because I'd be matched with people of varying skill levels within a certain range of my skill. I'd be playing with people better than me and people worse than me. Sure, this meant some games I'd perform badly because of there being more players in the match who are better, but I'd have matches where I'm kicking tail and riding a high because I was the most skilled player in the game. This type of stuff feels really good and doesn't lend itself to nearly as much stress as the skill-based matchmaking of today. Tarantula Keisters from the Bay Area. Alexa, Tarantula Keisters? That's fantastic.
That's good, Tarantula Keisters.
All right, Tyler, I'll let you go through one by one each point. And I'm the mediator in this situation.
Yeah. Well, so this first point here about not being done by overall statistics and performance match by match. I don't know how every single game does it, of course. Like maybe some do it differently. I don't think many games talk about how they do it because they want to prevent gaming it. We want to prevent like people sort of knowing how the system works and gaming it, I guess. So this like having a really good match one day and then getting put into a match with consistently better people and then losing that match and getting put into a match with people who are lower skill than you suggests that the game does a good job of not a good job of figuring out your skill level, but a very good job of figuring out other people's skill level, which sounds like a skill-based matchmaking system that's working. If it knows you and it knows the other people in the game, it's not picking players for you. It's putting players together into the same game. So those people are either people that just lost a game. If this is how it works, performance match by match, those people that you're playing with are either people that just lost their last game, or they're people that the game has correctly identified as being higher skill, and putting it into a game with you is like it. It's hard. I don't know how to articulate this very well, I guess, but it's like the system has to work for everybody. So it's not like looking at just you and then picking people for you. It's putting a group of people together and not treating any of them special.
Yeah.
So
it takes 10 people. It looks at their skills and it's like, is this balanced between these 10 people? Can I put them together in a match? If that's not going to work, then it goes and finds new people, is what you're saying. It's not.
Yeah, and a lot of games that do this the only thing that matters, like this super simple way to do skill-based matchmaking, is to say, well, the only thing that matters is if this person won or lost a game, and if they won it, we'll give them more skill, and if they lost it, we'll give them less skill. And the idea is that over time, if you match people together of similar skill ratings, usually they use like an ELO system that chess uses, or a modified version of the ELO system. Over time, that ELO rating becomes pretty accurate for you, and you'll get put in with people of the same similar ELO rating. And if it's pretty accurate for them, you'll have pretty evenly matched games. And that's usually what skill-based matchmaking is going for, is to have evenly matched games. Which gets us to your next point about how you don't like playing games where it's equal all the time. And that's certainly like that. That's an opinion that you can have, I suppose. Not only does that lend itself to tedium, like you said, but also more stressful because you have to play at your consistently high level in order to have a chance. I don't know if I agree with that, because if you truly just want to sit back and like just chill out every time you play the game, the matchmaking system will like your skill level will be reflected in that. Like if you're just sitting back, it doesn't matter if the people you're playing against are tryharding or not. It just matters what their skill level is and not what their intention is of going into the game. That's why a lot of games will have like a ranked mode where people try very, very hard, and it'll have a non-ranked mode which has a separate matchmaking level that you can do whatever you want. And if you want to try hard, that's fine. You'll play with more skilled people as you get better and better. If you don't want to try hard, your skill level in that mode will match that, right? But I guess if your goal, if you don't like it being even all the time, then that's not going to work for you, I suppose. So yeah, but I don't think they necessarily have to be higher stress. I think you can play with the stress level that you want to play, and if you end up losing a lot, your skill level will drop, and you'll play against people that match your skill level when you're playing in a relaxed mode. Does that make sense, Mike?
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's also one of those things where every single game does it differently.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, the most skill-based matchmaking I've experienced with has probably been League of Legends. And it's usually pretty equal, but there are some times where I'm like, why am I facing this person that's platinum in the top lane?
Well,
but it's because the people on the other lanes are not platinum, you know? So I just happen to get the match with the really good guy. So it's like...
Yeah, the other problem that we have there is like we're oftentimes playing together, and so the game is trying to give us as a team an even match with the constraints of keeping us on the same team. Because we play with people of varying skill levels. We have like kind of a crew of 5 or 6 that we play with pretty regularly. I'm not really good at League of Legends, but some of the other people in our group are really good at League of Legends.
I got Tyler a hat that says League of Legends MVP, and I'm going to send it to him in the mail.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's harder for the matchmaking system to deal with because we're already mismatched. Like in a normal game, in a game where we were in the same pool but we didn't have to be put on the same team, we wouldn't be in the same pool because our skill levels are different. Like we just wouldn't get matched up normally. So you end up skill-based matchmaking is very difficult when you have certain teams that need to stay together. Like you have a group of 5 and they have a specific overall skill level that can kind of be sort of gleaned from like maybe averaging how that works. Spoilers, I don't know exactly how matchmaking works in League of Legends, but like taking the overall ranking of your team and finding a group, like either another group of 5 or like other people to put together into a team that sort of matches that means that, yeah, if you might get matched against that platinum person because it's not matching position for position.
I also think the problem with doing skill-based matchmaking by statistics instead of wins or losses is if you're playing a game like League of Legends, or we'll even say Battlefield, where you have to play the objective to win the game, if you go off of kills, you're not going to be matched with people that are worse than you. You're going to be matched with people that just want to get kills. Like in League of Legends, for example, it would just be a bunch of people that go in really aggressively. You know what I mean? Like it would break the matchmaking, I would think.
Yeah. Well, that's why League, and that I know they've said this, is that it goes mostly almost 100% off of just whether or not you won or lost the last game. Like, it doesn't care that you got 100 kills or not. It doesn't care that you went 0 and 100. If you went 0 and 100 and won the game, that's all that matters. And I think that's the right way to do it because ultimately, especially in a game like League of Legends, like the goal is to win the game. The goal isn't to do anything else but do things that get you to win the game. And so in objective-based games like Battlefield, I think should be the same way. Like, I don't care how many kills someone can get in a game if they constantly lose the game. They're not good at Battlefield, right?
Yeah, were you sniping in the back the entire time? Because you're a classic Battlefield player.
Yeah, and if you're sitting up in the tower and sniping and constantly losing because you're not actually playing the objective, I would argue that you're not very good at Battlefield. You're very good at shooting or you're very good at sniping, but you're not good at Battlefield, the game. And so your rating should reflect that, I think.
100%. Well, this was a good email, and I'm glad Alexa sent it. And we talked about it.
Yeah, and from the perspective of like, if she doesn't like that games are even, like she doesn't like perfectly even matches all the time, that's a perfectly valid perspective to have. And I don't think that skill-based matchmaking lends itself to like having, I know the goal is to have like even games all the time, but it doesn't really end up working out that way. There's still stomps one way or the other. And I would be careful of like the confirmation bias that can happen there. Like I just won a game and then I got stomped, therefore matchmaking is picking on me. Matchmaking doesn't pick on anybody because it needs to find X amount of players and put them in a game together. It's not picking on any of them, or it's picking on all of them equally, right?
Yeah. I think we really need to focus also on tarantula keysters.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good sign off.
That's a really good sign off.
Thanks for the email, Alexa. I would love to discuss further because I feel very strongly about skill-based matchmaking.
Tyler's writing a dissertation on it right now.
Yeah,
it's very intense. All right. Matt in Japan has an email, and I'm excited to read it because I love emails from Matt in Japan. But do you want to read this one? I'm excited to read this. Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'll take this one from Matt in Japan. Hey, Mike and Tyler, it's your man on the scene to give you a report of the happenings of Xbox in Japan in regards to the last couple of chapters you read. As Kent noted, in Japan, X means bad or wrong, while O means good or correct. That's why in the Japanese versions of PlayStation games, as well as in early PS1 games, O is confirm while X is cancel. You'll notice this control scheme in the original US versions of Final Fantasy VII and Metal Gear Solid, as well as the original versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. This has been the case for all PlayStation systems until the PS4, when you could set the control scheme at the system level for all games. And then when the PS5 released, it unified all regions to the American style with X as confirm and O as canceled. When that happened, Japanese gamers were understandably confused and upset. Back to Xbox. X is pronounced Batsu, so if a Japanese person was to do a literal reading of Xbox, it would be Batsu Box, which I think is a funnier name, and also try saying Batsu Box 3 times fast. Batsu Box. Oh, sorry. It's difficult.
It's very difficult.
As for how Xbox is doing in Japan, I can only speak on my observations and from conversations with locals on their thoughts on the Xbox. I'm sorry to inform you that nothing has really changed in regard to Xbox's popularity in Japan. Whenever I go to an electronics store or game store in Japan, there's either no Xbox section or it's incredibly tiny. Surprisingly, Xbox Series consoles have been regularly selling out, but that's likely due to incredibly low stock and scalpers buying and reselling them to the West. Xbox hasn't been doing well in Japan because generally the games aren't all that interesting for Japanese gamers. That said, Western games have been getting more popular in Japan. Minecraft, Apex, and Fortnite are incredibly popular, to name a few. And even when Xbox tries to appeal to Japanese gamers by buying Japanese studios or getting publishing deals for regular Japanese games, a lot of gamers will just think, I can already play those games on PlayStation. I don't need an Xbox too. Some of it is probably due to brand loyalty and also national pride for supporting Japanese products over foreign brands. I've noticed buying foreign electronics being almost prohibitively expensive due to the tariffs they put on foreign imports. For example, TVs. Korean TVs are reasonably priced and pretty good quality. Japan marks up the prices on those to discourage people from buying them. To make it even worse, they also believe that Japanese products are premium products, and so they are just as expensive, if not more, than the imported stuff. At this point, for someone like me, it'd be cheaper to buy a TV from Amazon US or Newegg and get it shipped to Japan. Actually flying over to the US and going to a Costco or Walmart to buy a 54-inch TV and flying back with it would still be cheaper than buying one at a store in Japan. Wow, that's amazing. Anyway, hope this gave you guys some insight on the Japanese side of things. Matt in Japan.
Thank you, Matt. That's good to know. And I'm also glad that maybe Minecraft and Apex and Fortnite are becoming more popular, and maybe they'll change the situation a bit. But, I wonder if there's like the cool kids that are like, no, we're like counterculture, so we buy Xbox stuff.
Yeah, probably.
There's probably that. There's got to be people that are like, no, I only buy Xbox.
It's like anime nerds in the US. There's like American animation and game nerds in Japan, probably.
Yeah. They're like, I only buy Xboxes and I only play Xbox games.
And they only watch the English dubs of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, totally. It's got to be it. But thank you, Matt. That's a really good email. And also the Batsu Box. That's what I'm going to call my Xbox from now on.
That's good. Batsu Box.
Batsu Box. All right. The next email is from Drew, and it says, Mailbag question. Hi, Tyler and Mike. Drew from Chicago here. So I've been meaning to ask you guys about your careers for a while now. From listening to your show, it seems like at least one, if not both of you, actively work at game studios. As for myself, I've been interested in game design since a very young age and only recently decided it would be a viable career path. So I built a gaming PC and have been taking online courses on C# and working with Unity. I know it's an impossible feat. It's not an impossible feat, but as someone who's never had a position in tech, the road ahead of me can seem incredibly intimidating at times. I 100% agree with you, and I'll tell you why in a second, Drew. Could you share with us a little bit about what your career path has been like? What was your experience getting to where you are now? And do you have any advice for people trying to get into tech in the video game industry? Thanks for the opportunity to pick your brains. Spider butts for one and all, Drew. Do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
You can go first.
So, Drew, I did stand-up comedy for a long time. I still do it. I currently work as a paraeducator at a school, but I took classes over the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and I am quickly trying to transfer into web development. So I'm actually in the same path as you right now, Drew. And I do agree it's very hard to transfer into tech when you've had not a tech job, but it is not impossible. And I think it's one of those things where you just kind of have to work on it pretty regularly. And it's really about self-motivation more than anything. And so I do think it's very doable, and I think it's great that you're learning C# and Unity. And so just keep doing what you're doing because you're not doing anything wrong. It's just going to take a bit and you got to like be self-motivated. But with that said, Tyler is in the games industry. And I guess I worked for indie marketing for a while too. For indie game marketing, I did that for a bit, but I'm out of that since then. So that was one. But you probably heard me talk about it. It was during that time, but I no longer do that anymore. Not for any negative reason, but because I went back to school. So that's why I quit that job. But Tyler, you want to talk about your job?
Yeah, I work for full disclosure, I think I've talked about this before, but I work at Riot Games, and I work in communications. Specifically, I work in internal communications. So I don't make games. I help people talk to other people about making games. Most of the stuff I work on is for like our executives getting messages out to the entire company because we have like 3,000 employees now all around the world in a lot of different offices. And so a lot of my job is getting those, helping design those communications and then getting them out to the rest of the world. So my expertise on video games development doesn't come from being directly involved with the development, but by working very closely with a lot of people who are directly involved with the development. And so I get to ask a lot of questions because naturally I as a gamer, I have a lot of questions about how all this stuff works. So that's what my career is now. The way I got there is actually through being a video editor. So I used to edit videos. I still do, but I used to too. And I just saw like an online posting for when I had moved to Los Angeles, and I just saw like an online posting for we need a video editor, and it's big plus if you know a lot about online games. And so I sent my resume in, and I was like, well, I like online games. I play games like League of Legends, and they were like, oh, hey, well, this offer is actually for Riot Games. So being a fan of being a gamer and being a fan specifically of League of Legends helped me land that job. And then from there, I sort of weaseled my way into doing other communication-based stuff. I do have a degree in communication from Washington State University.
One of the best comm schools in the country.
That's right. Edward R. Murrow College of Communication. I have a degree in broadcast production, so I do some video editing. I don't do much video editing anymore, although this last week I have actually uncharacteristically spent a lot of time doing video editing at work, but that just for other reasons. But yeah, so that's my career. So I don't work directly on games, but I do talk a lot with people who do, and I get my questions answered often by people who work directly on games. So yeah.
Yeah, and Drew, I would say, I don't know if you're looking for a pep talk or anything, but I know you say in the email it can be incredibly intimidating, and I 100% like agree with you in that sense. But the important thing to know is that people in tech and games as well love talking about tech and games. So if you have a question, I would say just ask it. Like that's the biggest thing the best advice that I've been given is do what you like to do, which you're clearly doing if you're learning Unity and you're learning C# and you're making a game yourself. That's awesome. But also don't be afraid to like join a meetup group about indie game design or ask questions because people love talking about it and they love talking to you. And that's something that you should not be afraid of. It's very intimidating, but it's not as intimidating actually in reality. I had like imposter syndrome constantly during my entire school. And then I realized, oh wait, we all have that. Like even the people that are like teaching me this stuff, like everyone is intimidated by the work and tech in general. And it's just good to talk to people about it. And
I still have big time imposter syndrome. I've worked in for 7.5 years almost now. So like, that's how long I've been at Riot, which is a really long time, I guess. But
dude, my
I
buddy,
still feel like I don't belong there.
Yeah, my buddy who I'm working with, like as kind of like a quasi intern for his startup I'm working with right now, was like telling me, and this is like the best thing. He's like, just so you know, your first like 2 or 3 years working in tech, you're gonna have no idea what's going on, and you just got to embrace it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
yeah, constantly feeling like, one day somebody's gonna figure out I actually don't know anything at all.
Yeah, but the point is that you're there and you're passionate about it and that you're working on it. And that clearly seems like you're doing that, Drew. So you're on the right track. And I would say that to anyone. Like, I got an English degree from WSU, creative writing, and I am teaching myself computer science stuff. So I think, in a way, anyone can change their career path there. And they just got to, it just takes a lot of motivation. So it's the hard part. But you're doing it. So cool. That's a great question. We haven't really talked about that. But all right. We got 2 more. Do you think we got time? We could do it?
Yes, well, let's do it. Let's power through this.
Let's just go. This is a long episode. So this next is from Brendan. Do you want to read Brendan's?
Yeah, I'll read Brendan's. Brendan says, the subject is dedicated servers. I love this topic. Hi, guys. Just wanted to say congrats on all the great work you've been doing, and thanks for the podcast. No problem, Brendan. I'm a huge fan of dedicated servers and took them for granted when I was playing a lot of online FPS in the early and mid-2000s. Games like Return to Castle Wolfenstein and its follow-up, Enemy Territory, Unreal Tournament, and Red Orchestra gave me hundreds upon hundreds of hours of great games. Dedicated servers offered a consistent place to return to that could foster a sense of community, and each had their own vibe. It was like returning to a cozy bar you know and love, and your favorite servers were an essential component of your experience with the game as a whole. I want to take a moment to, for maybe some of our younger listeners who aren't familiar with dedicated servers, back in the day when you would play games online, you wouldn't just click find match and just sit there while it found you 10 other people to play with. You would go to what is called a server browser, and you could see all of the games that were happening and all of the servers hosting games right now, and they had a title, and they would say who was hosting it, and I would say the map they were on and maybe how many players were in the game. And so you could just choose one to join. And so what ended up happening was you would find a server that was close to you that you had a good connection to, and you would just go to that one a lot, and it would be the same people, and you would sort of the cozy bar thing that Brendan's talking about here. Like you would show up and your friends would all be there, and you'd walk in and they'd all say Norm, like on Cheers, and you'd shoot each other or whatever. So it was different back then. Games don't really do that anymore. It's more about just hitting the button and going.
Yeah, so anyway. I missed server lists. Like in Counter-Strike Source, I'll sometimes boot it up and be like, look at all these servers to play on.
Yeah.
So great.
There are definitely pros and cons. It gets very hard to do any sort of ranking system or like a game-wide ranking system in a game where people are just choosing what servers to go to. You kind of need to have the game choose your opponents for you if you want to get an accurate ranking. So
you could play 24/7 Office in Counter-Strike Source on a server.
You could, yeah. The server that just played the Office map.
Or
yeah,
surfing,
you could totally do
we
that.
did it together when I talked about Counter-Strike 1.6. That was fun.
Yeah,
I'm still really bad at it,
fun.
but it was fun.
Yeah. Anyway, dedicated servers were cool. There are pros and cons, though. Brendan goes on to say, back in those days, there were a lot more customizable options, weapons, mods, and user-created maps. Oh, that was the other thing, is like custom maps that were just made by random people. That doesn't happen anymore. You would just join a server, and if you didn't have the map, it would download the map from the server, and it's just like somebody made this map, and sometimes they were really good, and sometimes they were really bad, or sometimes they were really goofy. But there's definitely a less try-hard, less serious feel to it, which was kind of nice. Some servers might save progression between matches, feature a certain rotation of maps, or focus on a specific theme, tanks only, snipers only, etc. You could spend hours on a snipers only map and then hop over to a server with silly user-made maps and low gravity, or hop on a server had a solid map rotation and a good community that used teamwork. Messing around with different potential experiences within a game is one of the pure joys of playing. If they took all the fun options out of Smash Bros, people would be rioting in the streets. But it's kind of just become accepted that certain types of games no longer have robust customization. It's a shame. The matchmaking system adopted by some of these games has sterilized and homogenized a lot of gameplay experiences. Either way, thanks again for the great show, Brendan from New Jersey. I agree with that last paragraph that you say, Brendan. Especially like we talked about this in the last episode with Halo 2, because that was the angle that they came at it from, was not let's figure out our exact options and then get people together to play. It was like, let's just make a general assumption of like, I want to play this type of game, and then the game will sort of pick a map for you. It will find other people for you to play with. And so what that ends up doing is like all these little options, you can't really tweak them because you need people to, like, if everybody could tweak their own tiny options, we would never find a group of people to play with.
Yeah,
right?
It's like the only way to do this now is to do custom matches in games.
Yeah.
Which means you got to get a bunch of friends together and do that.
Yeah. And Halo, games like Halo, some certain games do still offer a lot of like customization options in those custom games things. But for some games that have chosen not to focus on the custom matches thing, they won't put a lot of those options in their custom, like their like private match feature, because that's a lot of work to put those options in when most people aren't going to play that mode. So I'm thankful that Halo does, but I understand that like that's a lot of engineering time that could go towards other things.
Definitely. This is a great email, though.
Yeah.
I miss
but dedicated servers, I like that bar analogy. I've never heard it talked about that way, like the cozy bar you know and love. You just like come back and everybody knows you. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, you know?
Just like it. Just me and Norm playing Counter-Strike surfing. That is a great analogy for it. It's like the worldwide sofa. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we got one last email. It's technically two, but they're squeezed together. So here we go. One of the emails was just sent to us an hour ago. So this is really good. Okay, here we go. This is from Rick. Hey guys. This is the subject is spooky season games. Ooh. Hey guys. First, love the new book review series and the interview with Stephen L. Kent. Great stuff. Mike, you had mentioned taking a break from the book and covering some spooky games for Halloween. Oh, wait. The Little Nightmares. We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
We did. Okay. So this was the first email we read last time. So Rick really has a follow-up to this email. And it's about Little Nightmares as a full series. He says we don't need to do it. But I do want to say that I do intend to do the spooky season games. That's going to come up next week. We're going to do it, Tyler and I.
All right.
And I'm really excited about it. And we're going to do, I guess we could just say what we're doing, right? Is that okay? I think we can.
Sure.
That's okay to say.
Sure.
We're going to do Left 4 Dead because that is a series that is spooky and it's based on horror movies. And Tyler and I have talked about it at length and played it at length also. That was like Left 4 Dead 2 was a big part of our college. So
yeah,
it'll be really fun to the point where it's going to be weird talking about Left 4 Dead 1, I think, which will be funny.
Yeah. Well, Left 4 Dead 2 kind of incorporates everything in Left 4 Dead 1. It has all the old maps. Like there's no reason to play the first Left 4 Dead, I don't think, unless you're like, you're like really excited about some feature that the first one had that the second doesn't. I don't think there are any, unless I don't know. I suppose there are people that only play the first one, but I feel like all that stuff is in the second one.
I mean, if you bought the first one when it came out and never bought the second one, and you're like, you know what? It's Halloween 2021. I'm going to boot up Steam again for the first time in a decade and just go for Left 4 Dead 1. Maybe that's a way.
I guess.
That happened, I guess. That's the only way. Why? Because I remember if you buy the Valve Complete Pack, you get Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. So it's like, why would you play any other game but Left 4 Dead 2? And then Back 4 Blood comes out this week too, which I've heard you told me was kind of dicey reviews, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I've heard the microtransactions are a little bit...
much.
A little cranked up a lot, but it's on Game Pass, so, we can just check it out.
But yeah, Rick's, I should read the full Rick's new email, though. I'm sorry, Rick. Here we go. It's the newest email says, hey guys, just caught up on the latest episode. Was thinking you guys might want to do a spooky game compendium and wasn't suggesting a focus on the Little Nightmare series for a full episode. Haha. Glad you checked it out, Mike, and look forward to the spooky season with y'all. Take care, and as always, love the podcast. A spooky game compendium is a great idea, and I also just love saying that. Spooky game compendium. So
Same.
That would be a fun idea to do, is to just like combine a couple of games that we've played that are scary and just put them in an episode randomly together. And I like that a lot. So thank you, Rick. Appreciate the email. Rick. And with that, this might be our longest episode.
That was a lot of emails that we got through.
Which is why we did the mailbag, because we wanted to get through these emails. Otherwise it would take forever.
Yeah.
But if you want to send us an email, you can email us at codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. If you want to join our Discord, you can either email me for a link, or there's a link pinned at the top of my Twitter profile at @mecoletta. Tyler is also on Twitter as well, at SneakerElfELPH. You should tell him how much you hate skill-based matchmaking and see what happens.
Yeah, I do like talking about skill-based matchmaking.
I know. This is fun to me.
Because it's like, I think it's a fascinating like insight into the psychology of people too, of like what reason they're playing games for. And some people play games for different reasons. And so if you like, Alexa's point of view is very valid, and her feelings there are like, they make a lot of sense. So
the only thing that I don't like about skill-based matchmaking is not about the argument against it, is I don't like Twitch streamers wanting to just blow up noobs for their channel.
Yeah.
That feels
I don't feel
bad.
sympathetic towards them.
Yeah, that argument is the one that I will always be like, no. Like, that's silly to me, because if you're on that level of gaming, then you should be playing against people at the same level as you. Because I got to tell you, I played against that Plat Urgot in the top lane, and I felt so terrible after that game. Like, as a human being, I felt really sad, and I quit playing that night, and I was just done. And I'm like, why was I matched against that person? It just didn't feel very good.
Yeah. League is especially punishing too, like, because it's just like when you lose. The game becomes harder when you like die. So it just gets harder and harder. And so if somebody's already better than you, they just continue to gain advantages over you as well. And it's like,
definitely better than me.
Yeah, it's tough. League is tough. And you're stuck in that game for like 30 minutes too. You're like, great. Oh, yeah. Now I'm stuck in this game.
Please get me out of here.
I'm just getting stomped on. Yeah.
Why does this video game feel like purgatory? What am I doing here? Get me out. So I see both arguments of it, though. I totally agree that there's things to be said on both sides of the argument, and it's one of those things that will be debated until the end of time, I feel like.
It's true. Yep.
Because how do you get this right?
Valid perspectives on both sides.
Do you want to do a real quick what you've been playing?
Sure. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Destiny, grinding out. I've been doing the Lost Sector grind. I actually did that Lost Sector thing you were talking about yesterday for the legs. I must have run that Lost Sector like 20 times and I didn't get it. I was doing it for like 2 hours and I didn't get it, and I was really bummed.
I ran it like 5 or 6 times to get mine before I got it. It's weird you didn't get it after 20 though.
It was. I mean,
are you killing all the champions to get platinum? Because I think you have to get a platinum. Oh, weird.
I think so. Unless there's one that like I missed or something that could have been, but I don't think so.
It says when you finish it if you do it platinum or not. So that's really strange. But I've heard people say they have really bad RNG luck sometimes on those. Like it gets really terrible. And if you do, my whole thing is that I'm going to do it 5 times, and if I don't get it on the 5th time, I'm going to like stop. You know, because I definitely killed everything that I could see. I don't know. Maybe you're just really good at Destiny though. Like that particular Lost Sector, like the back of your hand.
I am. I'm super good at that particular Lost Sector. Yeah. Anyway, I did the today's, which is the one I really wanted because it has the Warlock arms that I wanted, and I actually had 2 exotics in this one that I wanted. And I was like, oh gosh, how long am I have to grind to get these 2 exotics to drop? And I probably ran it 7 or 8 times, and I got them both.
Oh, nice. So that worked out.
Yeah, worked out today. I didn't need the legs anyway. That was just a check in the box. The arms is the one I wanted today, and I got them both. So
see, the Titan legs I needed because the Titan legs are this thing that fights against stasis. So it's like if I wear these legs and people try to stasis me in PvP, then I can break out of it without taking damage, and I can also not. The slow effects take longer to kick in, so it gives you some time to like get out of their wells and stuff. And we've been playing a lot of PvP because we have a buddy that's playing it that loves PvP, and so I'm like, well, I want to be in it to win it for that. Also, it's a part of my explosion fire build that I'm doing, which is really fun.
Nice.
Destiny's great. I've been playing, and we actually, this kind of gives me memories of old Halo, so I feel like this applies, and Mo mentioned it, but my buddy today's his birthday, and last night he wanted to like have a party, but instead of like meeting up because of COVID, we just played Splitgate online for like 4 hours.
Nice.
And it was super fun, just drinking, playing Splitgate from the comfort of our own homes. And Splitgate is like Halo with portals, and it's super awesome. And it has funny microtransactions because it looks like a mobile game when it does the microtransaction, like slot machine thing. But you don't have to pay money. Super great. It feels good. The only time I was really upset was when we were playing gun game, and you have to melee someone in the end, and the melee just feels really bad. Like it's 2 hits to kill someone with the melee, not 1. So I was up by 5, and then I lost the match, which felt bad.
That's too bad. I'm sorry.
But it's a good game, though. Like, Splitgate is really fun, and I would love to play it with listeners. I didn't realize that we were doing it on Discord, and I missed that, and I definitely want to play next weekend then with the Discord folks. Have you played it yet, Tyler?
No, I haven't. I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet.
It's strong old Halo vibes. Like, you don't need to ADS at all. Like, even with the sniper rifle, there's no point. Just go for it. And it feels really cool. And the portal aspect of it is fun to, like, play with physics so you can, like, shoot yourself across the map to the enemy team and get behind them. It's really neat. And you can shoot through the portals, too, which is a whole new strategy. So, yeah, Splitgate is very fun. For a free-to-play game, I am thoroughly enjoying it. And I'm glad I got to have, like, a fun birthday party with my friend on the internet. So
that's nice.
And it had LAN party vibes to it, even though we weren't LANing.
Oh, I also fired up Metroid Dread last night.
Oh, you got it?
I got it, yeah. I walked to the Target yesterday, not GameStop, because I'm in a large city and I guess I don't have to go to GameStop. But I walked to Target and I got Metroid Dread and I played about an hour of it last night, and it is fun. It feels very much like a Metroid game. The Emmy stuff with the robots that chase you is very spooky and satisfying when you like finally defeat one of those. So far I'm a big fan, and I like that it seems to not be very long too. From what I've read online, it's like 10 hours long. I dig that. I like
that's awesome.
When games don't overstay their welcome. I loved the Samus Returns on 3DS. Thought it was perfect length, and I think Metroid Dread's about the same. So
I agree. Excited. I'm starting to feel like there's a thing with video games. Not even sorry. There is a thing with video games now where people are like, "Well, I'm spending $60. It has to be 60 hours long," and I'm like, "No, like people put their time into this." Like, if it's a really good game and it's 10 hours long and it's $60, I'll still buy it. Because for that experience is worth it to me. And
I'm not paying for time. I'm paying for fun. And sometimes, like, if I can get as much fun in 10 hours out of Metroid, even if after I finish the game, it becomes not fun for me anymore, that's still worth it to me.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I agree with you 100%. Well, I'm excited to play Metroid Dread. I haven't picked it up yet because I still want to beat all these other Switch games I bought. But yeah, and it's not going anywhere. So I love it. Well, with that, next week we will do a little episode on Left 4 Dead, and then maybe another spooky game after that is undecided yet. But Tyler, do you want to say bye to everybody?
Goodbye, everybody.